harassment form there for you.
I'm sorry?
Sexual
Well, that's-
harassment form you gotta sign on your
That's a
desk.
good start. Yeah. And then from
Right there, isn't it gotta?
Just down and get it going. Marvin. Marvin.
Hey, Mom.
So. Okay, let's get it going, folks. Call the meeting to order.
You want roll call? John Nicholson.
Yes.
Dave Bally.
Yes.
Bill Palin. Marvin Williams. Tom Wilson.
Yes.
Everybody had a chance to look at the minutes from last meeting. Any corrections or additions to it? Stand approved. Stand approved as read. Start out with claims. Animal control. Too many there. Do that. Hang on a minute, Bill. I'm sorry, I forgot visitors. Do we have visitors? For me?
Morning, everybody. Courtney Kennedy, here on behalf of National Grid Renewables. You might remember them as Geronimo Energy. And with me today is Amber Miller and then Keith Bowen.
Good morning.
You have something, you have something you would like to say now, or are we ready to?
I can wait. That's fine.
Okay.
I can wait. That's fine.
Ready? I'm ready to wait. Yeah, go ahead.
US Bank. Getting doors, $2,762.10.
You got it. Be a claim for
Yep.
guillotine doors for animal
Guillotine
control.
doors. Yeah.
Yeah, you need to read the claim. off there.
Have a total of 2,762.60 per day.
Yeah.
And so we have a total claim for 29.
Yeah, you need to roll that one back and sign it. Fill in the amount, and you got a second claim there in your hand. There's two claims on the sheet,
One,
just one.
that's for the guillotine doors. $2,762.10.
Well, we have some other things here.
Okay,
It's a separate item.
okay.
So what I have,
Then it rolls on the roll 29.16.
yeah, apparently. Here's what I had. That's what I,
Yeah, just a little confusing. You want to sign that?
oh, I didn't sign.
Okay. Okay,
Other, so the only part of the
No,
US Bank.
yeah. The others will show up under different, coming out of different accounts. This is the one coming out.
Okay, Lee County Animal Control, claim a US Bank with a receipt for $2,762.10.
Right.
Next are Lee County Animal Control. First one for $198.52.
Yep,
US Bank with receipts. Next claim Johnson Oil for $216.85.
yes,
Next for Wind City Energy for $59.57.
okay,
Next for Verizon for $98.74.
yes,
For City of Dixon for $49.18.
that's for water, yes,
For Republic Services for $43.21.
okay,
For Amboy Veterinary Hospital for $204.30.
I have one before that for direct energy,
Yeah, stuck together. Okay, we also have Direct Energy for $222.65.
right. And then boy, vet,
And the Amboy Vet for $204.30. Pitney Bowes for $96.88.
okay,
Another claim for Pitney Bowes for $181.89.
and a total of $1,371.79. 1371.79.
And Terry, would you like to give your?
Yes, Miss Becky. Can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Sorry. I don't have a whole lot. I believe the guillotine doors is going to be the last of the capital project fund. Greg does have a few things that I believe he's probably got at claims today to finish up the outside kennels, which are being erected today. I don't know what their goal is, if it'll be done by the end of the week or whatever, but they are progressing nicely, and I invite anyone to come out and look. They look very nice. Well, actually, we might want to wait because we've got a lot of dogs. So might want to wait just a little bit, maybe next week. Other than that, I don't think there was anything else unless anybody has any questions.
Any questions for Terry? Thank you, Terry.
Anything under zoning?
I would like for them, just one topic on here I'd like to just throw in here right now, just to get them moving.
Hang on, we're gonna go out of order just a touch. And you want to do your claims first? You want to make the comment, D, or?
Let's just make comment and then we'll move on to claims. Is that okay?
Yeah. We'll go down to the agenda under zoning and
This will be under the new business for
Okay.
the extension date for Junction Solar.
okay,
So I've submitted a resolution to you for a request to extend the date for building permits for Junction Solar. A little background, in 2019, the county board approved petition 19P 1545 for a utility-sized solar farm in Alto and Reynolds Townships. The provisions in the approved petition stated that the project must be established or substantially underway within 3 years from the date the special use was granted. The county code further clarifies that the county board may extend this 3-year period for such a time as it shall determine for good cause and without further hearing before the zoning board of appeals or the county board. Now, this is not the first time that the petitioner has requested a time extension, and it is not an uncommon request for large projects such as Junction Solar. I believe in 2017, the Green River Wind Farm also asked and was granted a 2-year extension to complete their project. Attorney Courtney Kennedy is here today representing Junction Solar and has asked to speak to you as to why they are requesting an extension.
Thanks, Dee. To summarize, Junction Solar, you might remember, is a 100 megawatt solar project proposed to be situated on 758 acres in Alto and Reynolds Township. One comment that I'd like to clarify, this is the first time that Junction Solar, the petitioner, is requesting an extension date, but the parent company, formerly known as Geronimo, has requested an extension date with respect to the Green River Wind Farm. Dee read out the ordinance requirement, so you know that the county board can extend this without further hearing. From the company's perspective, we believe that we fit that definition of being substantially underway, and therefore we would maintain that we comply with the ordinance in that the company has commenced work on major project components, completed transmission studies, and secured a commercial offtake agreement for the sale of the electrical output of the facility. And working in conjunction with Dee's office, we believe that getting the county board to approve an extension is the cleanest route. And, you know, National Grid and Geronimo has always had a good working relationship with the county. We like to keep the county in the loop, and we want you guys to be informed about the investment into the county. And we believe that this might be the best approach rather than having the county try to define what substantially underway is. The county board voted to approve the project on May 21st, 2019. So that means that that three-year deadline expires on May 21st of 2022. At this time, we're asking for a 2-year extension to May 21st of 2024 due to some unforeseen delays. It's probably doesn't come to any surprise to anyone that there's been significant COVID-19 related delays. There's also been some delays with PJM, and it's not attributable to the company itself. But at this time, we'd welcome any questions that any of you guys might have.
Questions for Ms. Kennedy? Right, really. One of those things about. Entertain a motion that we just.
Yeah, I move to approve the resolution, send it forward to the rest of the, whatever committee.
Gotta go to executive.
Yeah.
The motion, got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Claims. Go ahead.
So, we'll get D and let her get back out of here, so. Who's that? There's two there.
Okay, for, this is for zoning, planning and zoning, right? Claim 4C. Claim SBM contract for $88.39. US Bank with receipts for $67.26.
Total of $155.65.
D, do you have any more comments on your? You want to get out of here? Go down.
Under new business. Or under zoning petitions.
Right.
Petitions coming from the Zoning Board of Appeals. So 8 of the 10 petitions that were heard at the zoning board meeting on Thursday, September 2nd, are being recommended for approval for map amendment to Ag 1 Agricultural District. The 2 petition 21P 1573 and 1574, which are owned by the same landlord, was denied the Ag 1 map amendment request. The zoning board recommends that those 2 parcels zoning remain, but based on the effort given in testimony by the current property owner, would like to see the new owner reporting every 3 months to the zoning administrator on the progress being made to the adult entertainment establishment, giving the owner a chance to continue the use. The zoning board did question why the 7 parcels on the corner of Illinois Route 251 and US Route 30 were being considered for map amendments. So therefore, due to that location being very appealing for development, therefore, I would like to withdraw my request for map amendments on those 7 parcels.
Which ones were these again, D?
B through,
Oh, okay.
no, B through H. B through H, I want to withdraw my petitions, my request for map amendment.
D is in dog through H.
B through H.
B.
Oh, it is B.
So A, I, and J, map amendment to go to Ag 1 Agricultural District.
A, I, and J.
A, I,
You're
and
saying
J.
they can go to the full board next Thursday. Okay. And the other 7 are being withheld.
I'm withdrawing my request for map amendment.
Everybody understand that? I'm sorry? Okay.
Don't need a motion.
So right, one, don't need a motion to pass through yet.
Why couldn't we have a motion here? Because they're, just send it to executive.
They're all on the executive agenda.
Okay. Moratorium,
New business?
I'm requesting that the county board approve a moratorium to temporarily prohibit any new battery energy storage activity coming into the county. There's a rapid growth in Illinois of clean energy technologies from energy storage. Battery energy storage is still in its early stages, but because of price declines and improvement to technology, battery storage has become a viable and flexible option. Because of this, I'm requesting the county board put a moratorium in place and have the Lee County Planning Commission work on creating an ordinance on battery energy storage systems.
As a resolution. Executive.
I'll make a motion to approve putting a moratorium for 6 months to allow the Lee County Regional Planning Commission time to create an ordinance for battery energy storage systems.
I'll second that motion.
Dave, second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Quick question, do we have somebody coming on board or are we proactive here?
There's talks in development and
Talk, so we're
future
proactive
projects.
enough that we're
Yes.
ahead of us. Very good, thank you.
Want to stay ahead of it, that's for sure. Nope, I think that's-
Questions for Dee? Thanks a lot, Dee.
Thanks, John.
Petitions coming Tuesday.
That's the one we just approved to extend till 2024 for Junction Solar.
Yeah, we did the new businesses.
Right, there's no others coming to.
There is one coming.
A, 6A.
It's the one I thought we just did, but we can move down. Okay, we'll catch that when we get there.
It's on the executive.
You just have one,
Executive agenda.
you have Junction Solar coming to the zoning board for special use of zoning for solar farm. 6A.
Oh, that's 80.
That'll be coming to the zoning board.
Yeah, we just need a motion to pass it to the zoning.
Actually, it's probably all, they submitted in July and that's.
All done, so you just withdrawing that too.
I'm not withdrawing it. Actually, it probably should have been on that. It was on in July.
Should have been just,
It's already been done, basically.
Yeah.
We've already worked.
Already approved it. It's coming. in
we're just, you're not
October.
seeking any action on it whatsoever. We just hold over. Okay? Okay, let's get back into our routine here. You got that, Bill? Hand it over to Tom.
Let John do
Let Don do it.
it. Well, Aaron, how's it going?
I don't know. Hi, Marv. How you doing this morning?
So I've got
You
a
do live downstairs?
claim from Airmark for 8606.
Getting tomatoes.
Who we doing? We're doing
We're
Airmark,
doing the maintenance.
building and maintenance, okay.
sorry. Home Depot,
Let me sign it while you're here.
$40.68. Doors Incorporated, $5,425. Okay. Johnson Oil, $485.29.
Right.
Nelson Fire Protection, $980. Okay. Cerrone Piping, $5,186. Okay,
Was a repair for a rooftop unit.
RTU two, had a service valve leaking. Got it back up and running. They always hold the bill
Good.
like once, so.
Then we have Nicor Gas for $860.12. Okay. We have Airmark again for $285.65.
Okay.
Buckeye Power Sales, $1,141.50.
Yes.
Home Depot, $1,025.64.
Yes.
Johnston Supply, $411.48.
Okay.
Napa, $45.52. Johnston Supply, $270.81.
Okay.
Windy City Energy, $2,294.20. Home Depot, $259.79.
That's 79.
79. 259.79.
Okay.
Dixon Water, $1,781.27.
Okay.
Sure.
You notice the old jail's $480.30.
Okay.
Had a major leak somewhere, city brought to my attention, was, we don't go and talk to me all the time.
Sure.
Right now, we're in the process of searching to see if we can find this leak. Might possibly be underground, going to the old jail section where we don't have any service valves to fill that. So we might be either looking at some major repairs or shutting the water service off and moving the health department out of there. We're still gonna do some checking. I shut it off over the weekend, so we're not running all that water and turning it back on Thursdays and Fridays when the health department's there. So just want you guys to be aware, we might be looking at something to do here in the near future. We might have to push something through before the next board meeting unless we want to keep shutting the water off, turning it back on.
We may just kill it at the main and
Fill at the main, and eventually, whatever we do with that building, if we're gonna reuse it, we can come from the main and run new lines and run it to where we want it and be done with it.
You said the health department's using it for.
Whiteside County Health Department.
Oh, yeah, I remember that one.
Right.
Okay.
Sheriff, did you hear that?
Yes,
John?
yes, I'm aware of it. Yes.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure you had the communication on that, John, because
Yes.
you're the one that set up the health department, and we may have to take some kind of action on it if we can't find that leak. Yeah, you comment on it at all?
No, Greg let me know what was going on and Chris as well. And I know they were working on it with the city, trying to find where that leak's at. So it's unfortunate that that is taking place.
Yeah. Okay, go ahead. Good, sir.
okay. Industrial Appraisal Company, $4,380. Johnston Supply, $402.28.
Okay.
Airmark, $215.57. Okay. Kone Elevator, $1,490. Okay. Ace Hardware, $172.39.
Okay.
US Bank, $445.45.
Okay.
US Bank, $1,572.50.
You need to do there, Tom. You read them off and credit card,
Yep.
just kind of check and make sure receipts are there.
Okay.
You would think there's, yeah. That's why I
Treasurer,
always mentioned.
treasurer and
Receipts are
or
included.
county clerk likes to have the receipts.
So there, the first one that you read off was for animal control that goes out of their project for the.
I'm doubting you, I'm just saying that. we
Yeah,
get chewed-
and
I
the
get
other one
chewed
was
out
for
of
the
it.
bottle filler, and I sent Lori an email, and I don't know, she has already run that through, a lot of times she'll do that through Paula before I even get to committees, but I didn't hear anything, so I run it through.
Ace Hardware, 146.25. Direct Energy, 31,859.75.
Okay.
And Nicor Gas, 107.60.
And we have a total of $61,370.80.
613080.
61,370.80.
Yep. No planning commission claims, no capital improvement claims, no capital project claims, no insurance support or bond claims. And here are the lots. I'm signing one read.
I'll read it, let him
There
sign.
you go.
I don't want to put my name in there. Okay, this is for lots, claims. Claim Ace Hardware for $26.29. For Brad Manning Ford for $448.20. For Car Oil Russ Automotive for $75. For City of Dixon, $45.85. I don't, is he initially did okay, or you need to write them out? Allow?
Just put it in the show right there.
Okay. That's all we need?
Yeah.
Okay.
As long as it's right.
Okay,
He's reading
all right.
right.
Okay, next is City of Dixon for $43.70. For Culligan for $39.04. For DC Computers, $1,758.95. DC. Direct Energy for $829.54. For Dixon Paint Company for $320. For Effect TV for $7,567.20.
I've got, oh wait, this is your total, yeah. Okay, we have separate items here. $4,985.20, 1,323, and 1,259, for a total of $7,567.20.
That is correct.
Okay, Foxter Solutions for $1,350. For Hughes Services for $43,463.33.
What is that?
For this Hughes Services, it's $43,463.33.
That's just payroll.
Oh,
That's their whole payroll.
Which is yours.
Dispatchers and drivers.
The next to Illinois Public Transportation Association for $2,400. Membership dues. Felice Clothing and Printing for $518. Lee County Treasurer for $920. Lee County Treasurer again for $374. Midwest Transit Equipment for $171.21.
Have 20 cents.
Yep, 171.20.
Money. Next is Napa for $874.99. Pest Control for $55. Precision Marketing Group for $425. Republic Services for $90.99. Safety Clean Systems for $50.
Before that, I had RC Service, $114.
Republic Services would be $90.99.
Yeah, that's all right. And the next would be RC Service,
I have RC Service here
Oh.
then.
$114.
Yes, RC Service, Ben's Auto for $114.
Okay, then you want to do the Safety Clean for $50?
Right.
Okay,
Sauk Valley Media for $730.
Yeah.
Toyota Financial Services, $367.17. How do you have the next one broke down?
I have-
US Bank,
Yeah, supplies, $1,132.93. Professional fees, $183.62. Automobile, $100. Total of $1,416.55.
that's what it reads here.
Okay.
The next is Verizon Wireless for $1,211.95. WEX for $15,936.58. Wind City Energy for $85.24. Windsor for $355.75. WRHL WYOT Radio for $285. WIXN, WRCB, and WSEY FM radios for $460.
Right. And we have a grand total here of $82,808.52.
$82,808.52.
Right.
Greg, you want to give your report?
Sure.
Greg Gates.
I think you have copies in front of you. I'm just gonna hit a couple of highlights. The first two, we did in fact submit our proposals to funding the second round for a rebuild that IDOT put out. They were due by August 31st, I believe, last Tuesday. And the proposals, as this committee has heard before, were to replace 2 existing buses with electrical vehicles, electrical zero emission vehicles, and then to also create some additional office space in a new conference room out at lots. There's no guarantee of awarding. We're up against other applications from around the state, and we should have an idea whether that funding will be awarded by November. So it will be a rather short time frame for gaining knowledge as to whether or not those proposals will in fact be funded. I thought this might be of interest since this time of year we are compiling financial as well as programmatic data for our end of year reports. So just a summary of the local systems that we're providing assistance to, whether it's the LOTS system or whether it's the 2 Greyhound routes. Total expenses of 8.521 million was submitted, and you can see the breakdown there between the local system as well as the 2 Greyhound routes. Probably be very similar in nature for this current fiscal year that we just turned over, the current state fiscal year of July 1 through June 30. In terms of the local system, number of rides provided during that last 12-month period were about half of what a normal year would look like, about 49,312 rides provided. And our buses traveled 463,000 miles. Total service hours provided in the provision of those rides to those 49,000 individuals were 14,473 hours. And the local match, as it stands right now, as we have reported to IDOT, is $152,431.26. But the providers have the third and the fourth quarter payments still to come. And I think that's going to be an additional 100,000. So you're looking at about $250,000 that will actually come in for the local match that is required. I will tell you that local match for the Greyhounds, oftentimes it's 50 cents on the dollar. So whatever they received is basically half reimbursement of what they've actually expended. And for the fourth quarter and most of the third quarter, the I-88 route, they received little compensation, about $100,000. So there was a five-month window where they basically were incurring 100% of the cost for running those routes. So, and the only other thing I would point out is we're still hovering in the upper 900s. Actually, last week we had 929 rides versus 1 year ago, 671. So it's about a 38% increase over what we had 1 year ago.
Any questions for Greg? Thanks, Greg.
Thank you.
I have one claim here that got shuffled in. It's for pet population. It was various vouchers for the Amboy vet totaling $828.70. Be for animal control. Just slipped through the crack there. So we need a motion to pay the claims. Got a second?
I'll second it.
Okay. Pass around the sheet if everybody wants to sign it. Greg, your report?
Yeah, as Terry mentioned earlier, we've been working pretty heavy out at the animal control, getting the guillotine doors that she just got in. We've got them all installed. We just have to do a little bit of work on the pulley system to open and close that. We're in the process. In fact, I got one guy out there right now working on installing outside pens. We're fastening them down to the concrete and everything, getting them all installed because we'd like to get this project done and over with and down the road. Only other thing I have is I'm got a control system that's being installed as we speak right now. They're finishing up on it. So when I get done here, I'll be going into training for that. Super excited. They showed me a few things that is on that system that we've really got a lot of protection, a lot of alarms, a lot of notifications. We're going to do a alarm system that'll notify me on my cell phone and all of my maintenance staff, letting us know we have an alarm going off. I will have a computer at home that I can get on and monitor any alarms and find out what's wrong and be able to guide my guys in which direction to go and what unit is actually alarming. So I'm so excited to get this up. It's going to really be nice when it's all done. Been waiting 2 years since I've started here to get something so we could use to control the temperatures in that building. And now we're finally getting, to that point. So I'm really glad to see that come. That's all I have.
Oh, yeah. Any questions for Greg? Okay. Now we got an issue that we need to address. And I'm sorry I didn't run enough copies for you all guys. John, are you up there, John? Sheriff?
Yes, I am now. Yeah.
Okay, good. I'm gonna skip around the agenda just a touch. I just handed to the guys some pictures of what's down in those stalls by the old LEC that Kevin has. I think he's taken 3 stalls right now. We took some pictures last Thursday, I believe it was, and I ran copies of it. And, but I wanted to let you speak so you can get back to whatever you have to do and we can go on, but go ahead, John.
No, just regarding the garages, obviously, you know that I'm trying to help EMA and maintenance out with, they've got some sensitive equipment, critical equipment that they'd like to get under roof, which they've been trying to do for years. And I think, if I recall, Greg and Kevin, maybe both have put in a request either through their budget hearings or their respective committees for a maintenance or a storage type facility for their equipment, which I hope at some point in time in the future that the committees and the board can find the finances for that because they certainly need one. But in the interim, we've been trying to work out some temporary storage for both of them in the 5 garages at the old law enforcement center. A few months ago, we did have that agreement. We had to move, we being the sheriff's office had to move some things out of there to make room for their equipment. And so that's what I'm hoping will happen temporarily. I had a nice conversation with Tom Wilson. It was a couple of weeks ago, I think, Tom, where we were discussing some plans. And I know with your construction background, you're kind of taking a look at what that old LEC could possibly evolve into at some point in time, whether it's parking, storage, maybe some holding facilities for the inmates being transported to and from court and things of that nature. And I appreciate that conversation, especially having your background to look at stuff like that, that maybe it is usable for those purposes. And you also mentioned something about the 4th Street, we'll call it the food pantry building, I guess, for lack of a better term. And I know that there was some discussion about possibly moving some EMA equipment down there, but that's on hold right now until we can work on some ventilation. And I know you had some ideas on maybe how that can be redone. So those are the types of suggestions that we really appreciate because we're trying to work with both of these entities that both have particular needs. And I'm even opening up out here, I'll call it Bay 1. It's the north bay of the shed out here at the new law enforcement center. And I'm trying to keep that one open because I know Greg had mentioned during our conversation that day that there are times when he might have a breakdown on one of his vehicles or the plow may need some type of maintenance, especially during adverse weather conditions. So I'm offering to Greg that, you know, if you guys are out here, which I know you are quite a bit, pull into that garage. I'm going to try to keep that one open because we keep it open anyway for squad car maintenance and things of that nature. So at least you can work on something in a 50 or 55 degree environment versus blowing snow or whatever the case may be during inclement weather. So it's one of those things where we're all trying to work together with trying to find some space needs for them. But in a nutshell, what I guess I'm asking the committee that, and maybe I'm just repeating myself over what Greg and Kevin have asked, is that we need some true long-term planning and finances put into this so that we can find some space needs for these guys, because this equipment is rather expensive on both their ends, both maintenance and EMA. And if we don't protect it in some fashion, 3-4 years down the road, we're going to be replacing some very expensive stuff. So all I'm asking is that the committee take into consideration some, even if it's short term, I know it's going to cost some money, but maybe not as much as a maintenance shed. If we can work on some of the ideas that you had, Tom, I think that'd work out great for both the needs of Greg Saunders and Kevin Lally. So that's just all I wanted to say today about the garages, and I appreciate the conversation.
Okay. You got just a minute, John?
Yes.
Okay. We did some research, Tom, Greg, myself, on potential places to store some of this. And the pictures I passed out, and I'm sure you're aware of what Kevin's got stashed down there in those 5 stalls. I mean, he's occupying about 3 bays right now with various types of generators and equipment and PPE stuff and things like that. We did some investigation down at the 4th Street garage. And have you been back in the back end of that where that EMA stuff is stored, John?
In the 4th Street garage?
Out at the food pantry, yeah.
I have not been there for a couple of years. No.
Okay, okay. I understand. I understand. It's not a spot I go every day either, you know. But back in the far northeast corner of that, there's some things that have been stored back there probably since Tim Bivens was the EMA director in this county. And it includes a snowmobile that's partially in parts, some cat terriers, a wheelbarrow that has a base on it that you could probably put your fist in, a outside compressor unit for an air conditioning unit, some miscellaneous other things. And I don't see where any of it has any value whatsoever. I don't know if Kevin realizes that stuff is there, and if it is, I don't know what value he could place on it. And what we're saying, and then in another spot in that building is, I believe, 12,000 sandbags on pallets that have the pallets are kind of crooked and falling down. But I've talked to Dave Anderson, and he has said that we can use that spot. It is probably 14 by 20, I would imagine, size of a one-car garage in that one corner of that shed. In the building on the 5 stalls, one of the things is a wheel generator. There's a bunch of barricades, another light bar that sits in there, and some other miscellaneous ladders and things of that nature. I'm not quite sure why Kevin would have those step ladders, but he does. And then there's, in the other bay, a large amount of boxes full of PPE materials. And we were hoping, and I know Kevin's having some health issues right now. I'm not saying we got to do this tomorrow or next week or the next week after that, because I know it's going to be a slow recovery. But I think the approach would maybe be to take those wheel things and some of that other things I just mentioned and clean that out at the food pantry, that corner. And I'll be glad to walk out there and show it to you. And I know Kevin's been out there. He's got a key to that building. But get rid of that stuff because it's of no value. Then clean it all up, clean it all out right in that corner. And I think you get back that wheeled equipment in there and keep it all in one nice tight little spot. And then the PPE equipment, I believe it could probably go on the second floor. Is there some space on the second floor? Charlie mentioned that there's some space on the second floor where some of that PPE equipment could go. Is that what I get out of our conversation this morning, Charlie? Right, and that would be, well, that's the thing. I've heard that it's expired.
Yeah.
But, you know, if it's expired and worthless, we probably ought to make sure we get rid of it. Now, that's what I heard from a couple of sources. Kevin, I asked Kevin about it and he said, no, it's still good stuff. So we'll have to hash that out when Kevin gets back. But that would clean out those 5 stalls. And I mean, I want to say right now, I appreciate you getting your stuff out of there, Sheriff. But that would give Kevin a place to hang his hat, or Kevin, excuse me, that would give Greg a place to hang his hat where he could run. I think he's got 2 pickup trucks at least. He's got one full of plows and tractors and things. And it would give him a place to put all his other miscellaneous stuff. And then he could proceed to clear out that building he's got over in the parking lot and make a small service building out of that. Right now he's got stuff stashed in there that keeps him from doing much in that building. And I'm just going after the proposal. I think that's what we would like to see, or what I would like to see, and Mr. Wilson and Mr. Saunders, the others I passed around pictures to. We could make something like that work. That would be a wonderful thing for us. And it would give everybody a spot where their stuff is consolidated. And it would give Mr. Saunders a spot to have a workbench and a place to work on his vehicles and keep everything out of the snowdrift. I mean, if you want to get together, John, we can walk out there and take a look at that. I want you to get eyes on it too, John. Does that sound like it's a reasonable proposition?
Well, on its face, no, because you're displacing EMA completely from those garages. But if Tom can work some magic like we discussed and do something about the ventilation out there at the food pantry part of that shed where he can store some of his equipment. I've got to be confident that his equipment is going to be safe down there and is usable, because here's the deal. You might not use the EMA equipment that often, but when you have to use it, it's a critical incident and we need it right away and we need it operational. Just like Greg needs his equipment operational every day. So we can't just throw something in a shed and expect it to be operational if it's in a shed that's not heated or not ventilated properly. I know Kevin had some concerns about the salt storage down there and some other things. So if Tom can work on some things like that, I think that might be a workable arrangement. Yes. And as far as the PPE, I couldn't hear Charlie on his end, but I know consolidating some of that into the second floor health department storage area there would be, I know it's something Kevin and I talked about anyway. It would be actually a more reasonable area to put all that, because then we've got all the PP in one area. But I have to talk to Kathy, or at least see what they've got down there to make sure that we can consolidate that. But that'd be a great place to put all the PP, because obviously we're not out of this mess yet of COVID and all the other things.
I'll let Mr. Wilson address. I wasn't privy to the meeting you two had, but let Tom address that.
Yeah, we talked, again, John met Greg and I down there, and it was great that you got all your stuff out of there. So we're trying to clean this stuff up. You know the whole routine. The ventilation for the building, the salt residue that Kevin's talking about, putting a makeup air unit in there is very simple. It's very simple. It's not an expensive proposition at all. I'd like to see how much salt residue that we're talking about. Kevin made the comment that he'd rather have his equipment sit outside than be parked inside there. And I said, well, we can, if it's that bad, we can put a ventilation system in. That's easy. As far as the stuff being mobilized, John, I don't think you'd find a better spot as opposed to having gates across the street, a garage you got to get into, and what have you, when all of them could be inside a covered building. Right now, the proposition, just so you understand, John, is we're going through doing a building by building evaluation, and we're hopefully going to have it done by the end of September for HVAC, roofs, tuck pointing, general maintenance of things that are going to come down the pike. And yes, you are correct. We're in need of a building. The condition of the buildings in 4th Street and the salt shed and what have you, they're not something the county would ever put any money into because it's not worth it. But yeah, we are in need of a building. I had Kevin give us a quick sketch of what he may want, and his building ended up being 80 by 120. I don't think that's very feasible. I mean, having all that equipment for an emergency, I understand is a huge deal, and having it in a central location would be fantastic. But moving the garages open for Greg is a big thing, and we will look into the ventilation system for down there if it's necessary. There's garbage down there that needs to be cleaned out now. I'd like to think that we could get that done before Kevin came back from his cardiac thing, but let's go down and do an evaluation of the building inside. I've never been in there, but I told Kevin we could put a makeup air thing in there. Not a problem.
It's quite a large area, John. If you want to get together, we can go down there and you can, like I say, it's got, some of that stuff's got a 1/4 inch of dust on it. And it just sat there. I talked to Dave Anderson about the salt residue in that building. He said they've never stored salt in that building itself. That's always been out in the salt shed. And the only salt residue may be just a minuscule amount of salt that may drip off the trucks, because they do back a couple of dump trucks in there with plows on them during the wintertime. And there may be some minor salt residue coming off those plows. But as far as storing salt in there, they've never done that for their own purpose, because they don't want the salt to deteriorate the equipment they've got in there. And so I talked to Dave while I was standing down there while I was right in the building itself. And so we looked at it. So why don't you and me and Tom and Greg and whatever, we can get together, taking a look at that stuff. We got
That 4th Street building heated, Tom?
It's an open meeting act and to go down there, and so. But would that work for you, John?
Is that 4th Street building heated?
Yeah.
It is not, well, the backside I don't believe is heated. His generator, another thing is that the Army generator, he says, is 24 volt. We can get 24 volt connections. I mean, that's not a problem. The thing of it is, it'd be inside, because currently that's an Army grade machine that gets plugged in for diesel. The only reason it needs to be heated is for diesel. But I mean, inside that building, we could have it plugged in and ready for him every month. He goes down once a month and starts it in the winter, he said. And the other stuff is sitting outside currently. So it's going to be inside, and currently it sits outside in the cold, but at least this way it won't have snow and stuff around. And I think this building will be, it's not the greatest thing, John, and it's all we got. And for now, until we do put together plans for a new building, which will be several years down the road, and you're right, we need a building, but it's what we've got and it's what we have to work with. And we're trying to make everybody happy and everybody have room. And I think it's a great option for Kevin to have 4 or 5 pieces of his equipment in one spot where he could, if he has to go down there, instead of walking around outside starting stuff, he can go down in one building and do all of that in one day and be under a roof.
Yeah.
The roof, I mean, the building's not perfect, but it's what we have now. And we are looking at possibly doing a garage of some sort. We can get Kevin's equipment and that big trailer. I know you got a trailer out at your place, but that other trailer, we need to get it inside because it's very expensive. And so
We submitted a budget, John, for a new shed down there on Hennepin. And the finance committee in the capital budget whacked it from 350,000, which is what we figured it'd take to build, probably comparable to the one you built, down to $100,000. And they left that in the capital budget for what we could do with the old LEC and the 5 stalls and so on. So we were cut right out of the new building process. We didn't get that money at all. So,
for now.
for now.
If we
Yeah,
do,
for
if
this
we
year,
do a long
next
term plan after we
Yep.
find out what conditions the buildings are in, John, we need to start putting stuff aside for capital improvements. And that's exactly what we're trying to do, is organize it to where we can get larger storage areas and more usable space for everybody.
So I guess back to my original question, John, I'd be glad to let you get eyes on that, or I got pictures. I'll be glad to bring them down to the LEC later today if you want me to. But I think you can see right there that the stuff on 4th Street really just needs to be cleaned up and pitched, other than the sandbags. And Kevin's worried they might be deteriorated beyond use too. So I don't know, 12,000, I think is what he told me. There's a big pile of them there. So,
I appreciate the conversation, guys. How this all got started is, unfortunately, there was an agreement already made early on when I was planning on moving some of our equipment out of those garages, that those garages would be shared. And if you've got some other options, the conversation today was nice, but it should have been had a couple months ago before some things were being done that I was unaware of. And I don't like conversations taking place behind my back and then me finding out about them later. I don't appreciate that at all. Neither do you.
well,
So
I
the thing
apologize
is,
for
we need to
that.
be upfront about what is taking place and have conversations like we just had today. Adult conversations about options that are out there for both, because EMA falls under me directly now. Maintenance falls under me through the care and custody of the courthouses and the buildings that they're working in. So this is stuff that I need to at least be aware of so I can support both of those department heads.
And John, I'll tell you right now, it was, it's out of pure, I mean, it was me that started talking about, I don't know anything about the Lee County politics. And if I stepped on your toes, I apologize, but I also was asked to look into it. So,
No, I appreciate that.
It was by no means, John, to step on your toes or do something out of your command. Greg and I called Kevin down, talked to him, and I thought everything was pretty civil. So
Yeah,
if we did something that wasn't right, it's on me. It's not any of these guys.
this has been kind of an issue going back and forth between Kevin and the maintenance people for probably close to a year now, at least. And we didn't mean to leave you out of the issue. We just didn't realize you weren't aware of the issue.
Well, I was aware of it and we thought we had it worked out between Greg and Kevin, but we certainly weren't aware of some of these other options that Tom came up with a couple of weeks ago when we had that conversation, which for me, I like the future planning ideas. I like looking at things that could eventually be good for both of these departments. And obviously it's going to take some money to do it right, but in the interim, temporarily, if it's a year or two down the road that they've got to work through this option that you're discussing today, great. We've got something for them to at least get it under roof. But what I also don't want is the committee to stop there, please. Just keep trying to find other resources and avenues and finances. We always have to bring in, always have to find other resources. I know I've been on the finance committee since I've been here about finding some other resources because we need to support the services for the people in Lee County, and we can't do it nickel and dime and things like this. We just can't. So I appreciate what you're doing. I really do. And, but don't stop there. You know, just keep going, keep the throttle forward. So thank you for the time today.
Okay, take care, John. Thank you very much.
Real quick on that. Yeah, John, I think these are more educational for the members of the committee and stuff like that. We need to get updated on what is here. And so discussions are happening, but it's more of a learning procedure. So you're not being put out on any of this. We just need to learn more things and look at options to learn. So nothing's happening really truly, but it's a process of just people learning without making you be involved in every inch of it. So
No, and I don't mean to be, but when I've got Greg coming to me or calling me one time and then Kevin calling me another, and I'm going, what in the heck is going on? I want to make both of these guys as happy as possible. They're not going to be ecstatic because they're both not getting a shed, but I wish we could do that for them. But in the interim, what can we do to try to appease both of them as best we can? And I think you're coming up with some solutions, which is why we need these kind of conversations. So again, thank you. Yeah.
Take care, John. Thank you. Okay. Actually, we're just down to the petitions, which we took care of all those petitions when Dee was here. Under old business, as you're all aware of, the tuck pointing is proceeding on the old courthouse. They have got basically three sides pretty much pressure washed, ground out, and tuck pointed. They are wrapping up the west side. They soon will be starting on the south side of the building. The reason that's not done is because of the tax paying situation at the clerk and treasurer's office. And so they put it off, but they will probably be starting on that either later this week or first of next week. Talked to the site superintendent today, and they will block off some of that, and we'll have to work with the handicap.
well, we get, yeah, enough signage to, I
Yeah.
see a sign on the door and I didn't know if it was happening now.
Yep.
but it's,
No, not quite yet. We're just kind of prepping people, but taxes were due last Thursday or last Friday. And so now that that's all over, they're still a day and a half, 2 days away from working on the south side, but they're getting there, and then they're gonna go up above. They're still kind of, they were hesitant to do that today because of the wind and so on, but they are working on the ceiling too, or on the roof too. So, Tom, you got anything to say about that?
No, you want to talk about the upcharges? Is that what you
I was
want?
gonna wait for down
Okay.
in the,
No, everything's,
under new business. but-
Yeah. everything's looking good.
Well, if everybody wants to jump to new business and we'll discuss that deal with the courthouse, why not go ahead? Yep, you have those figures, Tom?
I don't have the exact figures,
Okay, I
but-
do.
but the original contract for the price for the job was $215,000. And currently we have a change order form that from them for 31,000 some odd dollars. I'm sorry, 32,000 some odd dollars.
31.
That's 31. So the problem is we had a $10,000 late fee on our behalf to get started. We started late, so we had to give them $10,000 because they had labor negotiation contracts. Well, between the sealing of the stone and the new patching that was listed in the so-called contract that we never had, there was a $20,000 credit for patching of the certain areas. Well, we're not patching, we're replacing. And there's a big difference in verbiage from replacing and patching. So we have a deduct of $9,200 or $9,009 for the sealing of it. And we also have a deduct of $20,000 for the patching. So that's $29,009. But we had a change order for $50,000. And the $50,000 is to replace all the Dutchmen. A Dutchman is it's a replacement. So what they do is they come in and there's spots all over. There's 50 spots in the building that have metal clips in the backside that are rusted off. And they rust through and they spall the face of the stone. And there's like fish scales out of the faces, and some of them are blown apart and some of them are ready to fall apart. So what they do is they actually come in and they cut that out. Then they put stainless steel fasteners in the back of them. And they replace these 50 spots with new stone. So that's the reason it was an extra charge, because it's replacement, not a repair. So right now we have a change order that John wants to put forward to the executive board for $31,850,814, and that includes the $10,000. So realistically, above and beyond what the cost of the job was, $31,858 is a little higher than what a normal job would be. But if you take the $10,000 late fee out of there, we would be in a budget, a reasonable budget summary. But the $31,858 is above and beyond the cost of the actual contract price. So
$10,000 has already been authorized. That was a
Yeah.
late fee that nobody could foresee. We did authorize a full board. It was due to not having a meeting in March of last year, threw us over that deadline. And it is what it is, I guess. Not much we can do about that. The Dutchmen were not included in the original price. We are still under budget for what we dealt with. We had authorized almost $500,000 to get the same job done. The bids come in substantially less. Unfortunately, it didn't include the repair. It included 49 patch jobs, but we didn't really have to do 49 patch jobs. So we're back to authorizing the $21,858.14. Basically, we'll have to go to finance to be approved and then go on to executive for the budget or for the agenda. So Dave?
Yeah, playing devil's advocate here. From my construction thing, if we have that many bad, what is the status of what we think is good? Are they rusted to a point that are they completely intact, or was this a leaking area that?
this will continue to happen throughout the year. I mean, this is just it's going to keep happening.
Yeah,
This building is very old, so there's going to be
Right.
other Dutchmen in the future to fix.
sometimes when you're patching, you're better off just to fix the whole area or the whole system. Is that way overboard, or?
It would probably cost $10 million to go around and do all the ornate stone in this building, because all the metal, but the metal clips that they're putting back in are stainless steel.
Right,
But there's nothing saying the Dutchman or that the steel clips will continue to fail. It is for moisture, but you just don't know. I mean,
Right.
and then if we do regular maintenance on our building and we only have 5 Dutchmen every 5 years, it's a lot more reasonable than going to $50,000.
There really hasn't been any maintenance been done on this building
Yeah.
such as this since the mid-90s. And so what happens is, I mean, this is essentially a stone building, and there's concrete blocks and so on attached with clips. But in 1901, when this building was built, there wasn't stainless steel to be used. So now there's slowly the little moisture getting back behind, and they're rusting. And like Tom said, there's no way you can tell until they fade. Unfortunately,
That's what it is. But it'll be a lesser and lesser. If we
Right.
maintain the buildings,
we maintain the building, you don't have it.
as big an issue. Not as big a hurt.
I guess I need a motion to authorize that $21,000 and change.
I make a motion to authorize a
there.
$21,000 change order to.
21,858.14.
That has to be sent to,
Has to go to finance for them to approve the payment.
I-
I'm so second with that.
Okay, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor, say aye.
All right,
Question, go ahead.
Yeah, I just, sorry,
Yeah, the motion, what we have is a change order to fix what they call Dutchman. That's physical repair of where stone on the building has failed. That was not included in the original bid. They were going to repair up to 49 spots for their base price. However, they have found spots where things need to be replaced. And that came in on a change order for almost 50,000, but we have 20,000 deduct for the patch and a 9,000 deduct because we decided not to seal the grout, which was a mutual decision, because that doesn't let the moisture leak away. So all in all, we have a change order of 21,858.14.
So we're not gonna do the, don't want to do the patching.
We're not gonna do the patching, we're
Right.
gonna do the repair.
Makes sense.
Big difference in terminology, and unfortunately, it didn't happen in the original contract, so.
You boo-booed.
What's that?
I say you boo-booed.
I'm not gonna get into this. It wasn't me that boo-booed, but I will take the blame because the buck stopped at the desk and I was at that desk. And
Just
so-
just ask the question.
Yep. Okay, so we got a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Okay, now we will go back up to the rental agreement. Does everybody have a copy of that rental agreement? Wendy, we discussed this last month. Wendy went in and did the modifications to it. And so this is for the rental of this room and the room back third floor meeting room. So I need a motion to
I
approve that.
moved to pass it as written.
Okay. Dave made the motion, second by,
I'm out of the loop, so I apparently haven't heard, but
okay, yeah. What we did is, as there was questions on getting a formal written rental agreement for this room
right.
and for the room behind. That would be for basically anybody who wants it, but primarily it's used for depositions, things of that
So
nature.
what is the rental agreement?
I don't know, I thought
It's in your packet.
it's in your packet, Marvin, I thought I had it. Yeah.
The last part of that packet. The last one, the last.
Yep, last thing, 1 to 2 hours is $25 an hour. 3 to 4 hours is $20 an hour, and over 4 hours is $15.
Is that to anybody or how?
It's a public building. Within reason, we can't really keep public out of it. But this way we have control over it.
Minimum fees for me.
Minimum fee, and basically it includes, Ryan coming into here to do a little extra vacuuming and stuff like that. I mean, I think we really need to charge something because it does incur costs for us.
I agree with that part too.
Well, we have a motion, we have a second. We're to the all in favor part.
Okay.
Okay, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Tom, I'm gonna let you go. We're at the repurposing of the old LEC. And,
7D.
but we're at 7C.
If you're gonna let him go, I just didn't know if you wanted.
Okay. Do we want to discuss that or have we discussed that?
The building?
We've walked through the building.
Yep, we walked through the building and we've got a structural engineer that we are paying to go through and do a structural evaluation to make sure structurally the building's in good shape. He's looking at the old drawings to make sure that it could facilitate some things that we're thinking about. We are just throwing ideas around. There's roughly 14,000 square feet of space down and between the two floors that are available. We feel we could cut a couple garage doors in the lower level underneath, and Greg could use that as part of his maintenance facility to store things. We could also store election equipment. There's just a lot of room. We don't know what we're going to use it for, but if it's structurally significant enough, we'd like to have the judges park inside. Then we can bring the prisoners inside the building over to the elevator and go right up to the courtrooms. So we're trying to look at options and ideas for what we would use the building for if it does pass a structural inspection, because it may need a roof, but by the time we put a new roof on it, we do a makeup air system for, if we did do a parking garage up above, that would be heat and makeup air for all the exhaust. And the downstairs, similar thing. The amount of money we'd spend on that building per square foot in comparison to what a new building would cost is just, it's pennies in the dollar. So if we can use it, we'd like to use it. And we are not saying this, we're not, our group's opinion as to what we need to use it for, but if the building's significantly structural and everything's in good shape, we're looking at repurposing that building. So It'll take about a week to 10 days, and I think, so I'd say but it's gonna take a week to 10 days. So 2 weeks, a week from this coming weekend, or a week from, 2 weeks from yesterday, it should be in our
The
hands.
structural engineer took a walk through with us here a week ago, probably,
Back tomorrow.
and he's gonna be here tomorrow morning
Yeah.
to just do a basic, he's got all the drawings that we have in our possession. He made copies of them so we can go through it. He spoke with the engineer and the architect on the building that was originally there, Mr. McLean. And so he's basically going to determine if we can park cars upstairs. If we can't park cars upstairs, we might be able to get them down on the lower level. It's, as Tom said, we're just looking for options on what we can use it for. And we do want to make, I see John, you're still on the Zoom call. We can make a secured area for you to be able to transport prisoners from Sallyport to the elevator. And we originally got estimates anywhere from 600,000 to 1.3 million to demolish the building. And then we would still have to build a structure that would suit our purposes on the old site. And so we feel this would be a much better use of that building than to try to do what was originally proposed. I didn't totally agree with it in the first place, and now we're going to explore the difference. We got a very reasonable price from the structural engineer to come and take a look at it, and he will give us an opinion within probably a week. So that's for everybody's information.
We have approval for the cost of the structure?
Yes, we do.
Okay.
Yep. Mr. Olson, we're gonna need a motion out of this to approve Mr. Olson's approving that, but hadn't quite got to that
We
yet.
need that motion.
Okay, so any other questions from anybody? I mean, we're kind of on hold till we hear from the structural engineer, but he's given us not to exceed $2,500, which I thought was a very reasonable fee. So I need a motion just to back up Mr. Olson's decision to do that.
So move.
Got a second? Bill, got a motion, got a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Specific to approve up to $2,500 to have the structural engineer go through the building and give us a report as to what we can, what kind of load factors there are there. There's a 12-inch floor between the two buildings, or between the two levels. It's like a fortress there.
Yeah, you
Like,
couldn't park. some cars close.
yeah.
The other things we ought to look into, I don't know, the roof, we need a roof analysis or so, a check out, and of course, the heating system, I think we just call it junk and consider scrapping it.
I agree with you. We'd need to go to
Plumbing
a
and
gas
heating.
force or unit heaters.
Yeah.
We're working on it. Hopefully by the end of the month.
We're working on it.
Like I say, please bring me in on any
Yeah.
of this. I would love to.
We have an issue, and this sounds like a small issue, but the Open Meetings Act prohibits more than a couple of us from getting
Oh,
together.
that's true too.
And it's just it's that,
You're
I
right.
understand
You're
why,
right.
but
I understand.
it just ties your hands completely. So, okay, unless there's something else, go on. Okay, now the resolution.
I thought you meant you wanted him to leave so you could discuss it, that's all.
No, we're okay. I want him here.
misunderstood you.
Okay, the resolution
We
is
can do stuff.
It's for zoning, and it's a reappointment of Ben Forster, John Hillsman, Jim Book to the Regional Planning Commission. Need a motion to do that, get it full board. Okay, Marvin?
Can I ask a question on that?
Sure.
Because I really don't know, but I mean, the Regional Planning Commission is that for the entire county for?
Lee County has a planning commission, separate from the zoning board.
Okay.
That basically, we have an overall economic and land use plan, let me put it like that.
Okay.
And that has to be redone every 10 years, and it is done every 10 years, but we have a planning commission to see if a zoning issue fits into the overall economic plan.
Okay.
Then it's passed from the planning commission, you see up above here. Sometimes it's included, sometimes it's not, but on the full board agenda, you'll have things coming from the planning commission or to the planning commission. That's the normal process. That's the start of the zoning process normally.
So if the planning commission had a solar farm on their property, that would be a conflict of interest.
That's a planning commission. I'm not on the planning.
I understand. I'm just asking. No one, yeah, okay, that's what I need.
I understand what you're saying.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I just need a motion to reappoint those three gentlemen to that planning commission.
Okay. Yeah, I make the motion.
Okay, Tom made the motion. A
I'll
second,
second
Mr. Valley, all in favor, say aye.
it.
Junction Solar, oh, excuse me, any other old business that I don't see anything. New business, Junction Solar, we've taken care of that. Resolution on the moratorium for battery energy systems, we've taken care of that. Storage for maintenance and EMA, we've done that. And discussion on the change order for Bergen, we've done that. Any other new business?
No, see none.
No executive session? Need a
Motion to adjourn.
There we go, motion to adjourn.
I'll make the motion.
Okay, we're good to go. Thanks, Tom. Want to get out of here. Sorry for the.
I'll second it. Dave.
Yeah, Dave seconded it.